If you're loving this podcast, be sure to check out the full lineup. From news and local politics to sports and true crime. Find your next great listen right now at duluthnewstribune.com/podcasts. That's duluthnewstribune.com/podcasts.
Hello Northlanders, it's Friday, April 14th. I'm Wyatt Buckner with the Duluth News Tribune Minute, presented by Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union.
The average MPECU member saves over $785 a year in better rates and lower fees. And with MPECU, every ATM is your ATM. With their free checking program, you get ATM fee reimbursements at any ATM anywhere in the U.S. Check out Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union services online at mpecu.com or visit their offices in downtown Duluth, Arrowhead Road, or Miller Trunk Highway.
It's Friday, and if you're looking for some fun weekend ideas, Duluth News Tribune arts and entertainment reporter Jay Gabler has some options in this week's Best Bets.
At an event this week for their loyal subscribers, the Duluth Superior Symphony Orchestra rolled out their upcoming season, and it has some interesting events in it. It includes a world premiere by a composer who is running for Duluth City Council, and the return of cellist Gabriel Martins. Gabriel Martins will actually be at Symphony Hall with the deck this Saturday, playing Edward Elgar's Cello Concerto. That piece is famously associated with the late British cellist Jacqueline du Pré. If you're American, you might best know her from the 90s biopic Hillary and Jackie, but incredible, intensely emotional piece of classical music that is part of the DSSO's program this weekend, Saturday specifically, at Symphony Hall at the Deck in Duluth. Also on stage this weekend, Singin' in the Rain at UMD. This is a musical adapted from the 1952 film that requires some excellent tap dancing, and it just so happens that right now in the student ranks at UMD there are some excellent tap dancers. So director Matthew Wagner decided to stage Singin' in the Rain. Opens today, Friday, and runs through April 22nd at UMD. Also in UMD Arts News, tomorrow, Saturday, is the annual Art in Ordine Court Fair. Now, there's an asterisk on this because the event started in Ordine Court. It's called Art in Ordine Court. It's actually going to be in the nearby Bohannon Court this year, but same principle is going to be student vendors selling paintings, photography, jewelry, handmade gifts, and other unique creations. That's from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. tomorrow if you want to go out and see what our talented local public university students are up to in artistic pursuits. For more on these and other best bets for this week, check out duluthnewstribune.com. I'm Jay Gabler.
Now here's a look at today's headlines. Duluth City Council President Janet Kennedy read a mayoral proclamation Thursday morning declaring April 13th as Ethel Ray Nancy Day in honor of a pioneering figure who broke through many barriers, yet has received relatively little recognition for her many accomplishments. Community activist and educator Henry Banks has been campaigning for the city to recognize Nancy for more than 2 years. Nancy was born on April 13th, 1899, the youngest of 4 children in the Central Hillside household of her parents, William H. Ray, an African-American who had moved to Minnesota from North Carolina, and Inga Nordquist Ray, a Swedish immigrant. The couple met while working at a Minneapolis hotel and then married. Nancy went on to graduate from Duluth Central High School in 1917 and began her career as a stenographer shortly thereafter, helping families recover from the Great Wildfires of 1918 by relocating to Moose Lake to serve the Forest Fire Relief Commission. While she was working there, she learned of the June 15, 1920 lynching of 3 black men for a crime they did not commit, just 4 blocks away from her childhood home. A memorial to the victims, Isaac McGee, Elmer Jackson, and Elias Clayton, has been built at the scene of the injustice. When interviewed for the Minnesota Black History Project, Nancy recalled that her father was deeply upset by the lynchings and felt the need to organize. He had previously attempted to form a local NAACP chapter without success because people claimed there wasn't a need for one. That sentiment shifted greatly after the lynchings, and her father had little difficulty persuading people of color to band together and launch a Duluth chapter of the NAACP on the heels of the event. Nancy worked in a number of stenography jobs, becoming the first black stenographer to serve in the Minnesota legislature. Her skills launched her onto the national scene first with the Kansas City Urban League, and then accepting a job with the Urban League in New York City, where she quickly became a part of the artistic scene. Nancy also worked in the Minneapolis Police Department as its first black officer to join the Women's Bureau in 1928. Acute arthritis forced her to leave the job in 1931. In 1945, she moved to San Francisco and spent the next decade with the NAACP. In 1978, she graduated with a bachelor's degree from the University of San Francisco, becoming the oldest person who had ever graduated from the institution at age 78. Nancy died in 1982 at age 93. Kennedy, who was the first African American elected to Duluth City Council, said she was proud and honored to read the proclamation on the anniversary of Nancy's birth. Now here's a look at your forecast, brought to you by the News Tribune's Northlandia podcast.
Duluth area weather. After a brief fling with spring this week, we're headed towards some rain showers and then some cooler weather. The Friday forecast, mostly sunny with a high in the upper 50s. Slight chance of a shower by this evening. Better chance we'll get some rain overnight. Might even have a couple of rumbles of thunder in some of that. Temperatures likely falling down to around 40 degrees. Saturday looks like a wet day with rain, maybe a thunder shower, high in the mid-40s. Northwest winds picking up at about 15 to 25. Rain likely Saturday night, and it might even turn to a little bit of snow on Sunday. Will likely warm up, though, to around 40 degrees. I'm Storm Tracker meteorologist John Wheeler.
Thank you to the Northlandia podcast for their support. The weekly podcast explores curious and unique stories here in the Northland. In this week's episode, reporter Terry Caddo takes us into a taxidermy lover's paradise, Tony's Trading Post. You can find that episode Saturday at duluthnewstribune.news or wherever you also get this podcast. Reporting for today's episode was done by Jay Gabler and Peter Passy. Thank you for listening to Duluth News Tribune Minute. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday.